Yeah, it seems we are live. Hey guys, hey everyone, welcome for another session on the UX UI track. Today we are having a guest mentor here on the track, and as you know, the internship is slowly ending, coming down to an end. So I want you guys to meet Baysal and let him introduce himself because he's our guest mentor.
Hi everyone. First of all, thank you for the invitation. My name is Baysal. I'm senior product designer working for pickleball.com, currently designing and maintaining design systems and managing the designs on across platforms. And also, as Ernat, I came from graphic design, started at the very early ages, and literally for the last 5 years, we are spending most of our time figuring out how the industry is leaving and so on. And I would like to talk today basically all the things that I would like to hear when I was at your space like 8 years ago, and things that usually I wish to hear when I was back at time. And I will talk about basically not too many technical things, but the things that you will across in your career path, things that you might see, you might face, the little tips that you need to know, and things that will make you happier if you are aware of these things. And some of them is most of them is based on the real life experiences, and the topics basically I would like to break down, such as designing for native apps, great UX versus stakeholder goals, building a design system, accessibility, multi-sided platforms, AI-assisted workflows, design plus engineer communications when it comes to ship a product, and your research decisions. And we will also share this presentation with you guys, so you can have always those sources. You can go back and look what you want. So I would like to start from native apps. Many of you might not be familiar for designing for native apps. First of all, I would like to start with explaining what native apps are, or what native softwares are. As you might know, we have two leading companies when it comes to these technologies. One is Apple, another one is Google. And Google is inherited by, the design system is inherited by something called Material Tree, and Apple's operation system is running on iOS. And basically those operation systems have their own grammars, their own languages, and their own specific characters. And you might ask, why designing for native apps? And I would like to connect this with my own experience when I was I will tell you basically why did we need to design for native apps. So in the company I'm working, we are managing the system that people can play the sport pickleball, and the system is used by players, by managers, captains, and all type of possible users. And we need to basically create a system that everyone will use it very easily. They will have very easy adaptation. And in order to do that, we needed to go with the native apps, because I cannot get the answer from you right now, but majority, it can be 50-50 or 60-70. You're mostly using either Android devices or iOS devices. And basically, in those two grammars, when you're designing one product, you need to create your design system that will be having the same accent, but communicating with two different grammars basically. And in the later pages, we will talk about what are those differences and why do you need native apps. So native apps we need because for all these years that you're using your mobile devices, I don't even know the number, but you entered so many times, you set yourself an alarm, you added someone in your contact list, you send a message to someone, right? And both of these devices, these operation systems, had their own way to fulfill that action. And you see that button placements are different, the way you go back are different, the way the content is presented to you are different. But as the user, if you are a user, Android user, you're basically getting used to how to get things done in that way, in that grammar, and same goes for iOS. And if you do this, if you apply this methodology into this project, which means you're eliminating a lot of factors that people will get confused or people have any kind of difficulties when it comes to using your product for the first time. But if you design it for native, you will make sure that at least 70-80% of people who are using that application will be very easy to adapt. For them, it's going to be really easy to use it because they know how their system works. It is just like the default settings application or your app store. You know that how it works each market. So basically, this is the methodology that we are going for. And as you can see, there are like couple sketches. You can see they have both systems, operation systems have different ways of like showing the content to you. One of them, Android on the right, you have an option either to go back from the system buttons, either you can go at the top of the screen, but Apple doesn't give that to you all the time. It gives you an option either like you have to swipe back, swipe left or right, or you have to do it on the bottom navigation. So basically, if you ever have a project where you are having the duty for designing for native apps, you need to learn about these things. And there are like a couple things to learn about it. One version is basically grabbing your phone and just testing, like documenting every action, how it's done. And maybe you don't have opportunity to just buy an Android phone, or if you already have Android, if you don't have maybe opportunity to buy iOS phone. So what you do, use it from your friends. Go, if you have a computer, install an emulator and just try to test it there. And that way you will understand how your future user is doing things in their way. And when you're designing a product for them, you will basically understand what to do in order to do something that communicates to them and that will make it easier for them to understand. And as I spoke before, we have like in one app 2 grammars. But one thing is very important, the things that you're designing and the choices that you're making should be representing basically the same and correct information. Like it doesn't mean that you can just change the text on other app because it is another. No, if you're representing one product and if you're going to publish that on the 2 different operation systems, you need to carry the essentials, but you need to be mindful when it comes to designing the same things. You need to be careful about designing it in the ways that Apple user does or like Android user does. So in practice, there is also another example. You can see Apple loves to use segmented controls. You can see on the side we have nearby and save. This is called segmented control, and they used to categorize their tabs in this component. But Android does it different. Android likes to carry that either in their bottom nav, or they would like to use it as a separate tabs or chips. So this is these guidelines is kind of helping you to understand when it comes to design your elements, you need to know how you organize it and how you represent it. And as you can see, they have the same content. They are showing the same thing, but they just have different way. And if you can see, if you need to add something, material tree, Android likes to have floating buttons, but Apple doesn't like that. It doesn't mean that you cannot do it, but if your aim and purposing for usability, you need to take care into consideration these type of details. So this is just one example that I grabbed because it's copyright free, such as Wikipedia, and you can see how it looks on Android and how it looks on iOS. You can see where the search lives, the density of the components and the groupings, the overflow menus, and what things stay the same and what things are separate, different. And no matter what you're designing, even in both devices, as you can see in this area, we have the operation systems area. These you don't have control over, these things that those are not safe areas. So you need to be careful when you put your designs or something that it shouldn't overlap with those safe zones because of the different types of device in the hardware. So when you're designing, you are not only just moving pixels around and doing what looks like the best, you're also designing for all your constraints, for all your limitations. So you need to be aware. And earlier, about respecting the device, I was mentioning they have two different grammars, but they also have different modes. Like they have totally different screens on iOS that you can see liquid effects and these type of things perfectly. But on Android devices, you cannot do the same things because in the hardware level, it cannot give you the same pixel density and it cannot give you maybe the same results when you do it. So that's why if you're designing something that communicates like both of these systems, you need to be aware. And sometimes, as you might know, iOS have haptics. They have different type of textures, and they have also like dynamic island on the phone. So when you design something, just be aware of all the possibilities that you will have, and you have to take them under calculation when you present your designs or when you start in the beginning or middle of the project. Doesn't matter. You just have to be basically aware of these things. So another topic is great UX versus stakeholder goals. Right now, it might be a bit early to talk about stakeholders' goals with you or like to have the great UX. But one important thing is you may be in your early careers or you may be working somewhere else already. In both cases, there are some things that you might face, and I really thought it would be beneficial to talk about things already because we are living this day to day in our life.
Definitely.
So when you're working somewhere, you are designing and you are creating, like you are putting your craft and knowledge and for some purpose, right? And those purpose is all designers thinking, I want to make a great UX, I want to make a great design. But on the other side, you are doing it for the company that you are working for. And there are always different set of goals, and those goals sometimes really conflict between each other. So if someone asks you to add something here because of the business purposes, it is not always great to do it right away just because you're being told to, because you need to also find the mutual point, that sweet spot where you are taking into consideration about your users, and if it's going to risk your product into their likability, if your usability, then of course as a designer you have to like discuss these things. I'm not saying you have to argue, but you have to just be aware, and maybe people in your team are not aware of these problems, but your job basically, you should always be aware and you should warn people that is working with you, and that is also okay. You might miss some details that you need to take care, but still always talk with, try to find a mutual spot that's gonna carry the business goals into the next level and also make your users happy. Because overall, we are designing and doing things for the user, not for ourselves. And another thing is like when you are not agreeing with with your project manager or someone in your team, it doesn't mean that you are saying no. You are just showing what is the cost of that decision of that they are doing, and what are the metrics. Like if you do that, what you will gain and what you're gonna lose. You always have to calculate these type of aspects when it comes to like do your designs, because if you don't do it now, the costs are much higher to fix them later on. So your job is not only like basically to design something that will look good on the page and that you just based on calculations how it's gonna do. You have to just like predict the future, and you have to do your best in order to calculate every cases that you might face in the future. And another thing is, if you ever like have chance already, or you will have a chance to build design systems that will be like used on multiple pages, there are some things that you should take into consideration, such as your patterns, components, primitives, and also tokens. And in that case, in my experience, when we design native apps, those things stay the same. The patterns, components, they same as an essential level. But what changed is the variance changed. Basically, we will have the same pattern because the product that you make is carrying the values of your brand, but some patterns have alternatives that will be adapted into Android, and it will be adapted into iOS applications. So you kind of after you create your fundamentals, essential elements in your design, you have to always be mindful of creating those variants, and so you will not have any problem into converting them later on. And another thing, I don't know the owner of this word, so I cannot quote it. If you know, please drop it on the chat. So a system nobody uses is a museum. It can be beautifully organized, correctly labeled, but it is empty. So most of the designers do that mistake when they just start a project and when they want to create a design system. They are designing like more than 15 types of buttons, more than like 16, 17, 50 types of like different labels and tags. But in the reality, if you are just going to use 10% of that, you are just creating a cluster mess, and that's going to put literally like extra tickets and extra workforce for your developer teams and for everyone around you basically. So you really need to be mindful, and you have to start small. Try, like, first of all, you start sketching, right? You are building your wireframes and doing all these things. But then imagine that wireframe became real and what kind of elements will be in there. And then take your notes and basically create all your elements that are under those pages and start from there. And then later on you can just like populate these other variants in your design system, and you will have a system at the end that once a coder takes that and builds it in his system, it's gonna be like 99% used whatever you pushed into the library. So that's very important, Pat. No one told us this when we started, so I'm just happy that you are aware about that.
Yeah, definitely. For these design systems, man, I mean, it's a very big topic. Like, let's be honest.
It is. I mean, everyone has big expectations. Okay, like let's say you are running a project right now that has a big future into scalability. But the reality is showing that you are only gonna use it in a very small metric.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do what the project requires or what your stakeholder says to build up, for example, an atomic design system that has like 10,000 components,
yes,
then what the actual cost when you calculate about it, maybe the job that will finish in 2 months, it's gonna be a year now because all the cluster that you created.
Absolutely.
And then developers will have difficulty into implementing the correct ones.
Absolutely.
Because of the way you created your token systems and everything.
Yeah, and I found that generally from those design systems, like when you said, especially mentioned atomic design and things like. Sometimes it just depends the scope, and I think the first mistake I did sometimes, I start building everything brand new, and I lose a lot of time building a full design system, and maybe the product or feature does not need full design system. Maybe like that's why we always speak that like internship and academic knowledge is one thing. Like we are taught to do things per what the book says. But in the real time, you won't have enough time or resources to build a complete design system because you will need to ship things that get delivered in the deadline. Like, you know, that's how it works. Like, you know, time is money and vice versa. So
exactly, that's literally what I wanted to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up. Like, I'm coming also from academy. Like, I was teaching UX, UI and design courses for 2.5 years. And of course, we have curriculum and we have like all the steps that we do when we start the project. Like, you know the best.
Yeah.
Research
flows, this, that.
Exactly, user flows, research and everything. But when you find yourself in the future in a company that you're working, 99% you will just be on the halfway of an existing process.
Yep.
Or you will start a project, but you're only gonna have a week or 10 days to literally start from research to the finalize wireframes maybe. And you will not have all the time enough space for yourself to find a room to do all that.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you have to skip it, but then you might use AI assisted flows, you might use your own like judgment skills in order to get it done in a short time with minimizing all the mistakes basically.
Absolutely.
It happens like that. In many companies, it basically happens like you have an idea, someone has an idea, there is a budget, there is a project. Okay, let's do it. But okay, if you talk with a designer will tell you, I need 2 weeks for research.
Yeah.
And then I need another 2 weeks for sketching and prototyping the idea. And then after discussing and doing all the revisions, I'm gonna have literally like 2-3 weeks to design first couple flows. And it doesn't go like that. Maybe all the things that I counted for you, can be expected from you in 1 week, just 1 week. And
Yeah.
then you really have to use like all this like knowledge that you have with your judgment skills and with the quick research, get any sources that you have. Use AI to speed up your like research process 10 times. Then do your like prototypes as fast as possible, just so you can show and discuss with your team what is working, what's not working. And no one told us that,
No.
as I said before.
Nah,
like,
come
no
on.
one
I mean,
told us that.
yeah, we have a cool comment from Leah. She said, "Academy is one thing, and working in the field later is one whole new other world." And yeah, we could not agree more with that because, like, but still, we need to learn the
Yeah.
basics, and that's what the point of this like internship is, just to give you guys that starter pack. So you know, like it sounds nice and pretty. All you will be designing things. You will be like ideating and drawing and researching. And everything is fun, but sometimes, like most of the times, when you are hit with, as like Baysal mentioned, like you will be jumping into a project, and it happened to me maybe like 10 to 15 times already, where I'm just like jumping from one project to another. And then you have to learn what the project was. You need to understand the product. And it's not easy. And you have to do all that in a very quick amount of time. And so the thing what I wanted to say is like the AI. This is where AI comes into play. We want to try to use AI to skip those long browsing hours, just to get that timeline moving. And I know it's not going to be easy, but like work is demanding, clients are demanding, like bosses are demanding. Everybody's demanding, and you need to perform. So that's like what I wanted to say. Leah also has a question for you, Baysal.
Yeah, sure.
So the question is, so when you want 2 weeks for research and 2 weeks for sketches, how realistic is that you get your wanted timeline? Or does it usually get rushed? Like
Most of the time you don't get it. That's the problem. Look, I'm a person that lived in the both worlds, like academy and also like the real life.
Yeah, he was a tutor for college as well, guys. So
Yeah.
he has academic knowledge. I'm not academic. He is.
Yeah, but we were like literally studying all these methods, and I was teaching them all these like methodologies and everything and how to implement them. And you think that, okay, I'm fully equipped. I know how to do all of them, and I know how much time it takes. You go speak with if you are a freelancer or anything, you speak to your employer about that. They are saying no one has 4 weeks. Even he doesn't have 4 weeks for a research or anything. So you have to speed up. And one part is that the screen that you're looking at right now is giving you little tips how to save yourself. So there is an aspect and the terms for research and then sketching and everything. But there is also another thing. If you do these things wrong, all the research, everything you did can become pointless and it can fail the project. And that's called accessibility. So I will now connect all the comments and aspects into a one like cool answer. Even though you don't have enough time to research, even though you don't have enough time to like do all the things the way that you wanna do, try to do the best way you can. Even if you have 2 hours, like use that hours into your own research, get the best knowledge. But this feature that I talked to you about is accessibility is very important. So we are doing things that people are using, right? And
Absolutely.
people will be using all the time. So whatever you do, whatever you design, if it is not perceivable, if it's not operable, if it is not understandable, all the research and everything you do can go to trash.
Absolutely.
So at least as a designer, you need to know all these fundamentals. So whatever you do, you have a very strong starting point, and your designs are still usable at the base level. And then you can just, of course, we are not doing a project and in a couple months we are going, ciao. It doesn't go like that. It needs some time to test it, and iterate it, and make it better. But the things that I'm like trying to explain is basically take care of the accessibility, make all your components that is visible, because not everyone see things the same way. People, our visibility, our accessibility standards are different for everyone.
Very subjective as well.
We see colors different. We see things different, and some people are using glasses. Some people are not using it. Some people have disability on their eyes that they don't even know. So they created this industry standards such as like accessibility test and all these type of elements that at least you are equipped with those tools, and the things that you are doing at least is usable at the very, very correct level, and you are not creating trouble for anyone.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the things I wanted to also mention. Like, I have a very fun quote to mention. Like, Rome was not built in a day. Like, and I think that everybody should take this as an advice from. I use it like today now. You know, when I start building the project, and sometimes I don't deliver under the timeline, or I don't deliver everything that I should have delivered. But what I deliver is a working thing, and it works. And then nobody will say to you, I don't like this. So basically, like my goal is, because Baysal was speaking about accessibility and stuff, if you make something that works, even if it's little, it's maybe you don't deliver everything at all at first, but you still delivered something that is working and can be used. And client will never run away from that. Trust me, like, clients run away from things that are not working. So no matter if you delivered little or you were late, they will move the deadlines if you met their goals. So like that's the part that Baysal was saying, how you should always like use accessibility to create these things that actually work. Color contrast, typography, visibility, accessibility. You know, like the screen that you're seeing right now, like the minimum touch targets and stuff. I mean, I let Baysal take care of that. But the point is, if you deliver quality, it doesn't have to be big. People will always choose quality over quantity, and it just shows in our work. I mean, I'm pretty sure like you had a bunch of projects where people always liked more the quality version compared to the rushed one. But yeah, I'm gonna let you take care of the the accessibility one.
The thing is, you can always make mistakes, and for example, I will share a very funny story about like one of the failures that I have. By the way, failing is very okay. Like really, we are just working on the things that we know that you fail, but you take the risk, and that's the way you basically learn, and then it can turn into something called experience, right? So some of the projects that I was working on, I was having great ideas. Like I was doing my own research, I was having an understanding of all of our competitors in one specific sector, and I found out like a great way to show the project requires, right? And I wanted to literally present it to my boss, and basically when I show my point, it was like literally one of its kind, like a unique and amazing design. But I noticed like the things that I put on the page, it's not even readable. It's not like the things where you interact with the page, where you click, where you tap, where you read is not readable. So I lost the argument. With your client, you lose the argument ahead of the time. Doesn't matter what you put on the table. That's why I wanted to bring that up, like the importance of accessibility.
Yeah.
And at least even if you don't know all the metrics and all the calculations points, you can still search about it. It would take like 10 minutes of your time. Check about the tools, how you can do your contrast testing for your text basically, and check the minimum size of the button that can be. Or if you are designing for mobile phones, check what should be the minimum point, like the pixel size when you want to click at something. These are very important. And we also have something called focus. So focus is like if you just use a random browser, anything, if you press the button called tab, you see that's focusing, right? That's not only made in a way that using like that, it is also helping thousands, millions of people who are having disabilities and accessibility problems. It's helping them to navigate. And let's say if you design a system that everyone will use it, you always have to include these things. If you don't, then you don't know what you're losing. And if you realize it, the later you realize it, the more it can cost you, the more it can cost your project, basically.
And it costs your company and everybody, like you lose money basically.
Yeah.
We also had a question regarding I think it was more of a research question, but which practice can make more perfection on the research side? I think before we answer, I think one major part that I feel is a bit forgotten. You can be just an UX researcher. You don't have to be an UI designer. But most of the times companies are looking for both. They want to like kill two flies with one stone, like there's a saying. So like you can be better at one or the other. Like I know people who are great at designing user interfaces. They're good with colors and with UIs. But they're lacking that UX part. They're not very thorough. They don't like to search.
Definitely.
My answer here would be, what practice could make perfection on the research side? I would say read a lot and click on those links that are very, like you open up an article on Medium regarding UX and you find another link linked in that article. Go on that link as well and keep going, and because you will learn so many new things just by doing random searching, and later you will use that. But I will let you also take the answer for this one.
That's cool. I mean, that's actually how you do it, and you can intensify the research. But one thing I'm telling you, and I truly believe in that, is like research is not something you just Google about what you want to ask and to read things and take notes and so on. Because on the internet, you only have limited access to limited things. And it depends in your question what kind of research. Is it a user research? Is it a research of all of your competitors? Or is it a research of anything? The thing is, if you want to make a perfect research, divide it into aspects. Like how many aspects I want to do, how deep I want to dive into this. And one thing is basically you look at all of your competitors. You don't have to call them competitors, but look how people done things and check their metrics. Basically, if you're doing an e-commerce site or if you're doing a product that is being used by people and there are already sector leaders, look at their website. They are there and they exist for some reason, right? They are there because they do something correct. But no one is perfect and no one is 100% correct.
Yeah.
And in design, there is not always 100% correct answer for one thing. So how can you perfect it? Basically, you try to find all the answers that you can at your capacity, and the variety, intensity of it, and how deeper it is gonna show at your research quality. And then you present your best at every aspect possible.
Yeah.
So you don't basically like, okay, I wanna do a research, they gave me a task, and I just ask to ChatGPT or anywhere, okay, please give me a research, I wanna make an app to manage my spendings or managing my budget, something. It will just give you the shortest answer that's possible, and it's gonna only give you the answer to satisfy you.
Yeah.
You don't even know the reality of these metrics.
You need to go indulge into that and continue down that road. Because I remember one of my interviews before I came to this company, I had an interview with a guy where I said something in the lines of, we cannot build everything perfectly for it's never going to be 100% perfect for anybody. And then that guy claimed, yes, we can make that. And I argued like, no, it's not possible. It's not possible to satisfy every user need out there, because people are not robots. Like robots have a specific set of parameters they take as good or bad. Like as you give the GPT the prompt, he will say this is a good prompt, this is a bad prompt, and he will give a result. But like we are very subjective, and we work on one thing called emotions. And you can never count those out. Like, let's say you have a deadline today, and you send a Figma link of your work, and the client is like, pardon my language, but he's not very, he's annoyed, he's not in the mood today. And then he opens up a design, and he's like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I like this, and then you think that your work actually sucks. So that's the point. You will never satisfy everyone with what you design. I mean, like this session right now might not be satisfying to some of you guys, and that's completely valid. But the point is, it's still a session. It's still filled with a lot of resources and the knowledge based on real things, and that's like the number one thing. Always push something that's actually valuable and you can use it. Like it's not something just blabbering, you know. I mean, that's at least what we're trying with especially this cool presentation that you came up with, you know. I'm pretty sure like a lot of you people are still in the process of taking all this in, because 2 months is not a lot of time to become a full-fledged designer. Yeah. Let me remind you, you will go back to research like millions of times, finding that you could have done it better. but that's the part of the process. That's where the AI part can actually save you maybe maybe weeks or months or
Definitely.
like, because you know we did it. I would say like we did it a bit of a hard way. Like you'd have to dig very deep to find those real reviews and to find how this competitor actually matches up. Nowadays you can just like you get the mobbing and you open up like you get every screen, every inspiration. You get AI. You just say, can you give me like how this works on mobile? And you don't have to search how to scale this down in this. But like that's another like can of worms that we can't open now. We should.
But after all, this is just a point that will relate to you. As he said, maybe it doesn't relate to you at the moment, but it will relate to you 99% of the time if you get your first role and if you start working at somewhere. These are the things that you will face it. And if you face these things, negative, positive, do not ever let you down and do not ever get discouraged. You should always like believe in yourself, because our job in this sector is basically to adapt. You have to adapt into the reaction of your clients. You have to react of the fast developing environment. You have to adapt AI. You have to adapt into emotional side of things. And there is a lot of things that you need to manage. And as long as you know that these type of things will happen to you, it will at least mentally prepare you. And then maybe you will not get as affected as we are when we just started.
We're not scaring you guys.
It's just like...
It's not scary, but you need to know the real part of this world. It's fun, but it can be very draining. And I think everybody should experience it on their own. It went back on the presentation?
Probably.
Well,
sorry guys.
No, it's okay. We'll go back as soon as you're done with when you find it.
Yeah, that's sure. It's just something technical.
No worries. It should pop back up. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys are enjoying it so far with this session. It's a bit of a different session. I mean, especially since we are at the closing stages at this cohort now. So maybe you can check it out on the window below.
Just setting it.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, we are at the final stages of the cohort, and I think it's been a very good 8 weeks so far. That we been here for you guys. It's been a lot of tasks as well. I mean we know that, and it hasn't been easy, unfortunately, for you as well. So I hope you will pick up a lot of these things, and later on, when you have the time, revisit these assignments and tasks, and even these sessions. You can find them on FlyRank YouTube, and go back and you'll be like, oh, that's what they talked about, because that's going to happen to you a lot of times.
And like, I don't have to assume, but most of the designers, especially in UX UI world, you will have like, there are dozens of industries, dozens of like styles, dozens of companies that does similar things but at different levels. And sometimes maybe you will have just very limited and focused project. And sometimes you will take over multi-sided platforms. And this is one thing I wanted to also mention in this topic. Multi-sided platform is basically like you're having a product that will be served and presented under so many mediums. So imagine the same product in your laptop as a web product. Imagine the same thing in your mobile phones. And imagine it is like a web mobile and also, as I said, native apps. So when you're working in a system, in an ecosystem like that, you really need to make sure how this data will be presented and what you should sacrifice and what you should keep. And basically there is like, in that ecosystem, there are different people that is coming to you as a potential client, anything that you design. And you need to know your buyers, you need to know your sellers, and you need to know people with the disabilities and everything when it comes to like creating those screens. Because mediums, like platforms, are just mediums with a different sizes, with a different technology, and basically you're thinking about all the edge cases when you do something. And many of you might not know what is edge cases. So I will tell you about one of the like real experiences that I had. So we are designing basically the cards that is showing the players who is playing pickleball. It could be tennis, it could be any kind of sports. And people have different names, right? People have names. You are just putting like a normal. You are just putting like a normal name and surname, right? Maybe you put Tom, Alex, this, that. But imagine the edge case of the scenario that some person with a very long name. What to do in that case? You are creating like your cars, you are creating your designs, but what if the person, when your design has been developed and shipped, what if that person has extremely long name? What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So as a designer, you should always think about the edge cases, like very less percentage to happen, but it can happen. And you need to keep your designs for those cases as well. This happened a lot. Like we created like the screens that looks amazing, that looks like achievement rewarding processes, gamifications on it, and like so much data. But then we started thinking, what if a person uses this application in another country, another place, with a very long name, with a place that there is no events around it? Then they're gonna see an empty screen, right? And what then? Like, then you're gonna really disappoint your user. So edge cases is basically taking into consideration these like minority cases, and you still take into consideration and design it for it. So when you ship your design, you're basically communicating everyone. You don't have like any type of weaknesses in terms of like presenting your product, and this will reduce a lot of support tickets as well. So as you guys know, in the companies there are tickets, like you're gonna have a lot of tickets based on what you're gonna do, your task. And let's say you finish your one round of like design, you send it to review, and most likely if you take into account all the details and you did all the edge cases, you're probably gonna have very less feedback. It has very highly chance of getting approved. So that way you are not only helping yourself, you are helping everyone around you in your team to ship faster basically. So designing for edge is very important when it comes to working in a agency or in a company setup, and you are doing your best basically. So another part is basically we have AI assisted workflows, and this is basically the thing that no one talks about it. Okay, we tell you guys, we tell everyone, use AI, make your
We're gonna be back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about
okay,
this.
sorry everyone, we are back. So I was just
You
continuing.
did miss us.
Yeah. So where we left off, we were always talking to you, like everyone is suggesting the use of AI, right? Use AI, make things faster. But it is not always better. So for the past 5-6 years, Figma became really famous, right?
Yeah.
We were easily making our prototypes, we were like presenting there. But when it comes to have a quick prototyping, like clicking all these like directing pages, hover effects and everything takes a lot of time to build. So if you're gonna use AI, use what you already planned in order to show it like a quick presentation. You can always use AI, but do not let AI do everything for you. Do not ask AI to finish your missing points in the presentation. Do not let AI fill the empty gaps, because it's gonna do the fastest way. It's gonna do maybe okay things that will give you a pass when you just present your designs, but it's gonna maybe miss a lot of details that no one will think of, and it will come to your table again after 6 months, and then you will have just like way more work to fill in. So I'm not telling you to not use AI. I'm telling you use it with the knowledge of that AI is not perfect, but it is gonna be really helpful for you for execution level, for your repetitive task, for your things that doesn't take so much attention. You are like free to use it. But if you're working on a project that you don't even understand, do not let him, okay, like I am also missing 3 more pages, can you please do it for me? It will do it, but it's not gonna say no to you, it's gonna do it. But you know that it is not your work, Plus, you know that
It's risky.
edge cases are not taken care of. It's just gonna do what you're asking for.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, it's not gonna think. It's not you. Like you have to tell him to make sure to take care of the edge cases because otherwise, I mean, listen. For some of the things we can use and generate some things that are maybe more like a preview, but in the end we have to verify everything.
definitely.
And like if you don't verify, I mean, we had a couple of sessions where we specifically talked about that verification. If you just let it, like, I mean, you know how people think, oh, this is AI, he knows everything. Like, no, he has access to a lot of things, but if you don't tell him to take that into, it is the same as if you had like, I don't know, if you had a vacuum cleaner and you set the options. You need to set this is gonna, like, you know, vacuum, how strong, like, should it pick up everything out? Yeah, like if you expect it to vacuum on its own, like no, it's not going to work. You need to set it up. So basically, like prompting is very specific. Like it's also a little bit overwhelming. Like I know when I first started using AI, it was a bit overwhelming because you think it's gonna be like the answers are at the palm of your hand. They're not actually. You will go through 10 different iterations using AI. We even had a task to add, like I specifically made a task where I asked interns to specify and tell me which prompt failed, and every broad general prompt failed. And I read, when I reviewed the capstones, I'm still reviewing them by the way, so to those of you guys who did not get their capstones reviewed, they will be reviewed, so just be patient a bit. So the thing is, people go into Claude and they say, oh, make this product page better. And like, AI cannot comprehend what does better mean. Does it mean like make it stronger, like better, more content, visually better, structurally better, SEO better, huge like edge cases better? Like because this generally like our work is a bit, I would say, underwhelmed by the amount of things we have. We have a lot of things to take care of, and like I think overall everybody needs to learn that, you know, even though design is a nice thing and creative, it can be. Like we were talking about edge cases. I bet you that nobody will mention to you edge cases on the client meeting because everybody will talk about, oh, this looks good, I want the home page, I want the hero, I want the card. But then again, as he said, he made cool looking cards. But what if they're not working? You can throw that like design in the trash right away. That's the thing. And for that, I mean, if we had 2 years to build a single project, it would be perfect. I think everybody would be having, but you don't have that time, you don't have that luxury. So we have to, and now with the AI, I think there's a very good use case where we can use AI, but you need to feed him properly. You need to feed him proper true things so he can use those as sources. And only then he will not hallucinate, he will not create something. Because most of the time he will invent something, like as you said, like he will invent things and then, you know.
I mostly say start easy, don't go hard on it. Do easy, like design your flows and everything. But you want to show it to someone, right? You want to show it to your client, you want to show it to the person that you're working with. Then let it prototype for you, but do not let him design for you. You know, make your workflow that takes all the repetitive executive options to make it easier for you. You need very creative names for edge cases, right? Ask about him to give me really realistic long names or long type of data. And maybe you design like 10 cards in one page. You don't have to like type those names down with your hand. You can just ask for it. But do not ask him to give decisions for you. Then it doesn't become you. Then it becomes like just like you are letting AI do everything.
He's not a designer, by the way.
Another thing is you cannot talk for your design. If you do that, when it comes to present your work or talk about the product, you don't even understand how you are going to defend it.
Yeah.
Or how you are going to talk.
You have to make an argument for every decision you make out there, and that's a lesson. Like I personally learned a lot the hard way, but I'm thankful. Like I learned that you know, I need to verify. I need to stand behind every decision. It can be a wrong one, but the next time I'm not going to do it that way because I learned something. A lot of the times there can be two good options, but then you go with the one the client chooses.
Also, one more thing.
Yeah.
If whatever you design, whatever you show, whatever solution you offer is always getting a pass green light, which means there is something wrong also. Because it is very normal to disagree with your design solutions or the expectation that comes from it. There is always a room for development all the time. So
Absolutely.
it doesn't mean that you are in a great environment if everyone just saying you agree like, okay, this is perfect, let's ship it. No, let's talk about it. Do not make it longer, do not lose time on it, but let's talk about it. Let's think about all the possible scenarios, and then we can go. And then if there is something wrong, when we come back again, at least we know why it happened, and then it will be much easier to solve, because we are basically solving problems every single day.
That's the thing.
Either they are UI problems, or they are UX problems, or they are business management problems that requires, either they are budget problems, and all of them are real. Like, all of them are real in all the projects.
Like,
I'm not telling you like you have to do everything, but most cases you will do it. That's the reality. Like, no matter where you work, I mean, that's the reality,
we're
guys.
like plumbers. Like, you call a plumber, hey, help us, like, with the design and the website. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I would really like to talk about also designer plus engineer. So this is the relation between two of you. And
sorry, Baysal, before we jump into design and engineering, we have a question regarding the edge case. What is the most absurd edge case have you encountered? Like,
okay, good question. Good question.
Yeah, this is a good question.
Okay.
I'll let you take first, but while I think of mine, because I have a lot of them. So
Okay, I will tell you one, and that has a financial outcomes. So one edge case is, we have basically a page where we are showing, listing all the tournaments that has been done, right? Like on the pickleball, and you literally open your app, you find the tournament that you wanna join, you click, and you see the information. And upside there is a title, there is a location, but there is also one little container that shows the map. And that map, like, if I'm gonna show every person who click just the first tournament site, if I'm gonna show it, every time that map is shown, it is using the API from Google. That means it costs money. And of course, I'm really generous designer, and I was just putting things like that is going to be best for the user. And that is exactly, it was the edge case that it was conflicting with the business goals and with the great UX actually. What happened? Like, literally I got a comment that, Baysal, if you do that and if we ship it, we have like around 50,000 people trafficking every single day. In a monthly level, maybe we have millions of users. And imagine if half of them just click to this, and if you load the map view for everyone, can you just calculate the cost that can happen? Can you imagine? Like, it was really like, it was crazy, and it made me understand, okay, now we have to fix that. Yeah. How can you fix it?
So not even,
you can just
it's not even design, it's a financial problem.
Yeah, and you really have to fix that. It's your problem.
Yeah.
If it's financial problem, it is your problem. So that was like really absurd scenario that I faced it, and we came up with basically just hiding it and showing that, like, just to click to open a map view, and that way only people who need it have an access, and only we pay if people really want to see that map.
Yeah.
And also there is a text location and everything. Like, we are not hiding it away, but we are just showing to people who really needs to see. Basically, what you did, you saved your company like financially in a big time. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have gotten fired, man. So
no, that's cool.
Generally, for the use cases, it's hard to pinpoint one because there's always something that pops up while you are doing the work. I would say something similar to happen with, like, we had an ad or a link, something like that was supposed to be very pretty, like, you know, basically like an elegant banner. But problem is, when the Black Friday is coming, like around the corner, the clients want to put Black Friday over there, and it caused a lot of traffic. And the website started crashing down. So I'm like, you know, out of all the things, they told me, make it pretty, make it nice, make it modern, like Versace, Gucci and stuff. And I'm like, then they're like, okay, yeah, but we have Black Friday, we have over 200,000 people with like our page. And I'm like, no, this is not going to hold up. So then I'm like, why didn't you say it earlier? So yeah, you always have to have it in mind, like, how are the people going to use it? Like, and you don't have that time to think of all the use cases. Some of them will appear later on, but that's the part of the business that people don't get, because A lot of times you think, oh, this is perfect, but trust me, there's always 50 use cases people can say where this won't work, but they may never happen, but they also might crash your design tomorrow.
But there are some tips that can help you to prevent that. First of all, as a designer, never be the guy who just takes the brief, sits down, put the headphones and doing it. Communicate first. You have to communicate. Let's say if you are designing things that is agile environment that keeps like pushing on revisions and then keep deploying projects, who is doing implementation on your design? Engineers are doing it.
Yeah.
Little developers are doing it. The project manager is deciding all these things. And as a designer, you have to be in a close contact with all of them to understand like what are the limitations. As his example, like if you had a really close contact with the developer who works on that, and if he saw your screen, he would tell you like, Ernad, we cannot do that because our website will crash. And you would learn it before, and that way maybe it will not happen.
And the same thing, also, I think on that project I built something very modern. You know those horizontal sliders?
Yeah.
And then like that's the mismatch with the technology. The technology that they used to build the website was different. And I did not know that. So I was building like for React, for like something Next.js, like, and then say, oh, we're using WordPress. So I'm like, 3 months of design went down the drain. I have to go back to the number one. And I'm like, you know, those things will happen.
It is not our fault,
yeah.
But it is really helpful and life-saving if you know about these things.
And we have also another question for both of us. And I think this one hits close to the, like, how fair is it nowadays that a designer has to know all the tools and all the fields? Designers are now often required to know coding, photo editing, video, and mostly underpaid.
That's very hard question.
I prefer to stay silent in this one. I mean, I'm kidding. Like, we're gonna give a quick response, but listen, that's the hardest thing. Time, we don't have a lot of time. Like, you know how fast it moves, and you need to learn the engineering process. You need to learn the product process. You need to learn the project, the managing process. You need to know how the product works. You need to know the audience, you need to know the research, you need to know how to work in Figma. It's a lot of things, and it's a bit ungrateful, I would say. Yeah. People just think, I know a lot of times before, people say, oh, you're just drawing things. And I'm like, man, I sit down, I spent a lot of time on my paper, I'm just thinking how to like make this work. I'm not like, that's the fun part, when I get to paint. And even that can be a pain, because like, you know, you go with the colors and stuff, like client wants something different. And
that's just tip of the mountain. What they see as a guy who is drawing, just tip of the mountain. You are just literally.
It looks like I don't know. Like, you want to do it for me, like. And when a client says like, "Oh, you do this, okay, do it please do it," and I'll tell you, it's gonna need you like 2 months at least to get started properly. Definitely. And one more thing though, people think like that designing is a fixated thing. Like you go like, I don't know. I'm not gonna devalue any other work. Like, but physically you take like something down the stairs. Okay, you took them down. That's it. Like you did their job. Thing is, when we design and like as you said, you mentioned, it's agile. Like some of the things will change.
Definitely.
At the start of the project, the client will like this. 2 months later, he will see something else, and he's gonna be like, okay, maybe we should head in the other direction. So I'm not sure. I mean, like smarter people than me did not figure out a way to figure out how to get treated well and get paid equally. So I'm not sure how to respond. But regarding the photo editing and the coding, this project that I just worked on required me to do the photo editing and you know it sounds unfair, but that's the harsh part that Baysal mentioned. You will not be met with this at the internship. Nobody will speak about those requirements, but you need to. Nobody's trying to scare anybody, but I think it's worth noting that whatever comes ahead, it's good to know. It's good to know photo editing, the graphic design. It's good, but I think the key is to mention to your manager, I'm not doing those things, because if you start doing everything, this job will.
And maybe you're doing nothing. A little bit of everything can become nothing at the end in a cumulative.
You will say, give up. I don't want to do this anymore. Trust me. I mean, you will lose all patience if you have to do everything. So it's important to have a good team as well.
Yeah. My point of view to this is, it is not fair, and that is not because of the world works or anything. I don't want to get into this, but it is like, it is not fair if you are not curious person. Like if you are a really curious person that likes to learn about everything, it can be a bless for you, because wherever you go, you are equipped with a lot of information and like knowledge. But if you just want to do one thing and keep repeating doing that, then this sector is not for you. It is sad to say that. Maybe on the past it wasn't. Like we had illustrators, we still have very great illustrators. We have like a lot of people who does art. Art is different than that. But if you're not curious and if you don't like to learn new tools and experiment with everything, then this industry is not fair. So that is like my kind of like point of view into this.
But don't get discouraged, guys. Listen, if you like design, keep doing it. Like I would say, keep doing it. I think, and not just that. You can always be like very smart person in the room because you know a lot about everything in behind the scenes. Like I mean, not gonna go into your experience, but I'm sure you pretty much know all of the management things that go on, and you're not even a manager. Like, but you know how to read. What he does and what
basically
he does.
10 years from now on,
yeah.
If you ever come to a point that you have enough investments, you can create your own product that can be really top notch, and you can do and maintain all of that because of this industry standards and then pressure. That pressure really cooks you up, and I'm telling you, like you just have to learn and be kind of brave about it, because you know that at some point of life it will be on your benefit. You will learn a lot.
Yes.
You will benefit from it.
Like right now, everybody's like, we want to get a job. We get a nice paying job. We want to have fun.
Yeah.
But later on, trust me, as he said, all the experience, you can create your own product because you know how the process works. Technically, you're going through every phase of this design process. You go on a client meeting. Yeah. You start meeting, then you are arguing why you made something. You understand his product. You help him make more money. You push his product. Technically, like I'm not going to go into your project, but I bet you learned at least 12, 20 and plus more products. You learned about them during your career. Because now if I ask you about one of your pages that you built, you're going to tell me about that product more than about your design because you learned what the product is. Yeah. Like you ask me about like some, I don't know, shoes or some e-commerce and I'm going to tell you, this works good. And I'm not even like, I'm not selling this stuff. Yeah. But I can tell you what people buy because I had to learn the product. And for you as well, like for the pickleball, you will know what players, which option they choose the best. And you will know more about pickleball than about the design you made. Yeah. But that's the point. That's the part, understanding the point. And thank you, Lea, for the question. It's a very good question. And thank you guys for the questions overall today. Yeah. They're very really nice
and engaging. Yeah.
So we have about, I think, 15 minutes remaining. So we'll just continue with the presentation. If anybody has another question, don't hold back. We love.
Sure. We already covered this in terms of like the communication with the developers, because you kind of know how a developer looks at the designs and what makes developer confused and what makes it easier for him. So as I said, use all the knowledge that you have, invest in it a bit into communication, speak with your team members, try to understand what is difficult for them to read your designs and what is good, what can you do at your best capacity to make it easier for them. And if you do that, you will see you're gonna have less and less problems. Another thing connected to Lea's question as well also, they need to know a lot about it. Maybe you have to know coding for my job. I don't need to know coding, but I need to understand from coding.
Absolutely.
I need to understand how the tokens are labeled. I need to know what variant means. I need to know what size means. I need to know what a token means and how many of them I can do. If I do a wrong naming, it can also confuse my developer that's working with me. So
it sounds a bit unfair because there's so many things going on. And but trust me, it's not that hard once you get into it. But it can be like for the people, I would assume a lot of the interns here are just learning. Maybe some of them are already into this. But I think it's overwhelming to say all these things. But they will grow on you. Like you will not deal with these tokens at the start. Like when you just begin as an intern, there's no reason for you.
No one will force you, basically.
Yes, you will see those bigger designers designing tokens. Like you work on design systems. I work more on e-commerce. But we are met with the tokens. You have to make tokens like 100% ready. To me, sometimes I can maybe skip and just use the basic ones because, like, it's a web page, it's an e-commerce. I need to work maybe more on my time, and you need to maybe work more on your precision. And that handoff, I'm guessing your work with the devs has to be top notch.
Yeah, I mean, that is my day-to-day communication.
Exactly.
I have to talk with them every day. I have to understand their problems. I need to understand really what can I do at my best capacity to help them. And sometimes they help me a lot. They save me so many times that I was just going in a direction that literally went like abstract, and I was doing like so different stuff, and then they had to correct me. And sometimes I had to correct them because sometimes also they cannot translate your design in the best way possible. So this should be back and forth communication that you have to keep maintained in order to have a healthy level of like the project and to have a product or anything that works and functions and looks the best. And that is at least the least we can do to be like really happy with our works and to like really what we do. And this is basically the same thing, like how do you, in order to start something, of course you have to understand people that you are working with, you need to understand the project, you need to explore, do a really quality research, you need to prototype it really quickly, not waste any time, talk about these options and go back. This is not like a one way of road, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is always like in a loop in order to like perfect what you're working on. And we were talking about like this sector and everything, and there are so much niches, like I might be in the sport industry, he might be in e-commerce. Tomorrow it can change.
Absolutely.
And try to also understand and find what you love, which sector, which niche you like. And the more examples and the more works you have in that specific niche, you have higher chance to find your new roles maybe. You have higher chance to find a better opportunity for yourself. And even if you are not like working right now, currently anywhere, try to basically make those example works, like your own personal projects, just so you can see your capabilities, like you can see how good you are at it. And then people will, at the end, they will notice you. They will really see you. They will understand like what you're doing. They will see the potential in you. And I hope this is really relating to most of you, even if you are at the beginning of your career, in the middle, or you are at senior level, doesn't matter. Everyone can find something that touches to them and to connect with them into our like session that we did together.
Yeah.
And I think you might find a lot of answers into these chats and communications with it, and you can also learn a lot of tricks. This is at least what I believe. And if you have any questions, please like shoot them. We are ready to answer. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, we had some questions during the session, which was very cool, and I'm glad everybody participated. Like we have a confirmation statement from that like one of our interns is a backend engineer, and he's learning a lot just from designer side on the session. And I think that's very cool just to like for me. When you mentioned the loop, all the things, the processes we do, I think the key to having a very good job and a very easygoing job is to figure out the best pattern so you can get the job done without too many problems. Because my own problem, I would say, when I was beginning, I found myself lost at so many good ideas. Like ideas are endless. There's so many ideas out there, but you don't have the time to try them all. So if you find something that works, research, iterate, flows, UI, like in theory sounds good, but everybody has their own modus operandi, the way they work basically. And for me, I don't know, I would say that research starts very good. Find a good inspiration, learn what the client wants. And when you find those 4 points that you can always apply to every project out there, that's when you will say, okay, first of all, I'm a good designer because I can deliver things. But I think ultimately, none of us have yet found those that perfect pattern that applies.
There is not a formula for
Name-
everything.
no,
it is
there-
not like 2
It
plus
does
2
not
is
exist.
4. Yeah, that
It
is-
does not exist. I wish it did. I mean, I wish it was more straightforward.
But I changed my perspective and it made my life much easier. And I suggest you guys to do the same. Maybe just learn how to adapt. And what we do is basically we are adapting. As a human nature, we are just came into this world just to adapt. And same goes for the business world, corporate world, or anywhere. Like no matter what you do, start at somewhere, right? You have to adapt. You have to look at your environment first. You have to see how people communicate. Okay, we are communicating visually. This is our job, right?
Yeah.
We will need to communicate verbally as well. And then we need to have understanding. We need to have the great empathy. And if you have these like features, you will see those are like kind of fundamentals of what you do. You don't have to know all the technical things, all the technical terms. You will get there. But just try to learn how to adapt and how to learn things by yourself. And then you will see, like I believe in a person who is curious and always tries harder, they have a great future ahead of them. Like I always believe that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
Overall, like that's the thing with design. Design does not stay still. It's one of the hardest things to deal with as well. Like I'm not sure. Let's go with for example, everybody uses a PC nowadays or Macs. Operating systems. They went from like Windows XP Vista to 7 to 11, and what you notice, like, okay, you always have the start menu, the applications, the background, but the design changes. And like you probably noticed on the Apple, like this new glass thing going on. And now what I saw the other day, I think Huawei was coming up with their own glass
operation system.
Yes, so they're using the same thing. So one question though, like your job is never stale. That's a good and a bad thing because you have to adapt. As you said, you have to adapt. Like the glass thing pushed boundaries. Accessibility wise, it was not the greatest. Like a lot of times I disagree with a lot of Apple guidelines. Like why do they put such small buttons? And I'm sure you know much more about it than I do, but like I'm speaking from a user like perspective, not like as a designer. So the goal is you have to adapt, and that's what makes this job interesting but also hard. You need to keep up with the trends.
Definitely.
Like I don't know, let's say somebody tasks me and you to create a web page, and you go with the classic UX that works maybe 5 or 10 years ago. Like it's not flashy, but it has titles, it has CTA, good CRO, it has a low bounce rate. Like it's perfect in UX terms. And then the client says like, yeah, but this does not look catchy or flashy. Like, and what are we met with? You need to combine both. You need to grow. You need to take what's modern today. We might not agree that it's the best UX. Like personally, I think a lot of the pages nowadays are mostly motion, flashy animation. Like that's not very intuitive for the user. Like when you have to like scroll to get to the bottom and it's like heavy scrolling, lazy scroll. Like that actually showed we use some metrics for the UX and they say like lazy scroll like drops users, people just leave the pages, and we're like we have to adapt. Like how to fix that?
Plus, you have the responsibility to also teach these things to the person that you're working with.
Yes.
Because people who tells you to do these things, they don't know that it's gonna harm them. And like it is not enough that you learn all these things, now you need to also teach them.
Yes.
You need to tell them, look,
absolutely,
this decision is gonna harm your project, this decision might harm or it might be in your benefit. But
and you need to convince them. Like
you
need to convince the guy saying, hey, this is not good. And he's like, I think it's good. No, this is not good. Why? Well, that's the thing. I'm speaking from my experience. That's what I mean. Are you the designer? You're not the designer. It's and that's the misconception where what Lea mentioned, like that is being a bit unfair. People think we are just drawing sketches, and I mean we work on data. At the end of the day, it's like I mean we can make pretty things. But if they don't up the revenue, if the clients don't earn more money, they will not hire us again. But if you make something that brings them money, trust me, you will get hired every other month because you bring revenue.
That's the world. That's actually in a way that how world works, and we are just doing our best, like adapting.
This is like a confession session, man. But now overall, I mean, listen, this is not probably. I think this is the perfect time for this type of a session, so we can tell you what's to be expected of. Like, I'm glad that everybody, had a fun like 2 months here at Flyring, and just that you got into this whole river of design, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like, I'm not lying. I mean, I wish I was. Like, I mean, like what Baysal said. Like his whole presentation. You can take these things and you will have like maybe maybe 10 more presentations to just learn and read on. Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, if this would be a session just to teach you about designing for native apps, that would probably take 6 or 7 weeks just to really learn. Like, I didn't have any intention to just copy paste what I write there and you will know. Of course, you're not gonna know, but you're gonna know what are the basics, like what are the fundamentals when it comes to designing.
We have a question from Nahla. How can I create good design documentation as a junior UI UX designer? What should it include, and how should I structure and organize it? I think the easiest response would be to first of all, take a good Figma project that you can find on the Figma community. Find a good website project and try to find maybe like what you would recommend, having material design, I would say.
Yeah, like both of the things that I told you for Google material designs and also iOS designs are free to public.
Yes.
They publish it. You can just go to your Figma community, and in the community you can download their entire design system. But it doesn't end there. Those are just elements like from their own system, and you can see there how did they divide in every category, how did they name their conventions, how did they tokenize it, and then you see like what kind of documents they're creating, and of course you can learn from that. But if this question relates to design documentation that an actual project that is working, I can say you that the best documentation can be to including only the essential important things that the developer needs. Look, there are some documentations examples that you can find on internet that has million components on it, that has like 1,000 different things. But if the real project doesn't require any of those, then your documentation is not really successful and it's not really helping anyone. So as I said, like those documentations basically made for people who is going to use it. And in order to verify this quality of the documentation, either show it to people that you're working with, show it to a developer who's gonna take it, and get a feedback from them. And based on this feedback, you have to just correct all the missing things and make it as clear as possible, as easy as possible, and do not just show this is button, this is primary. Show a screen where you are using that button so the developer can know exactly where to use that.
Yeah, use case.
Mention about your margins, mention about your typography, like define everything. And then, this is what I believe, then you have a good documentation, like ready to hand off maybe.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, I would like to mention a practical example from real life. Like, if you keep your room tidy, that's how you want to keep your file organized.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it might be bothersome, like, to take care of. Like, organization is overall a specific thing to handle. Everybody wants to have a nice looking thing, but nobody pays enough attention. Like, it's not once that I myself created a messy Figma file. And then later when I show it to the client and he's like, I'm struggling to navigate. And so I think the question is good. I would say, go to Figma community, find some Figma design systems, go also to Google Material Design, go to the iOS as well. You can find also documentation for, I think, Atlassian or those kind of companies. They have public design systems that are available for you to use, and you can just see how those big companies divided, organized these things, because after all, they are they're big because of these things.
Yeah.
And they do things right, and they have the time and the resources to take care of that. So I would say start with small things, arrange it into tabs. I like to personally arrange it into I first start with the research on the left side, first few pages research, then I jump into some user flows, basically like how timeline goes. So that would be my suggestion for for this problem that we have. And I mean, other than that, like, I mean, you know, for beginners, like, you know, where we once were, I think it's different times. Like, I think what's better today, resources are way more available.
Yeah, that is a bless actually, because like considering like 8 years ago, from my perspective, when I Google some design systems, I could maybe find 4 or 5, like, but right now you can find hundreds of them.
And they
That
were
is
not
a
free,
big
man.
bless.
They were not free. We were like, you used to pay.
They were not free.
Yeah.
Nothing was free.
And like, you know, especially because we're saying this, we were in your shoes. We also were like interns that wanted to get a job, and you were like, how do I find how to do things? And I can't even like afford to get that. You know, I cannot subscribe. Figma was free though. When I was like starting up, Figma was free. It was very fun, and then they decided to make it a paid one. But I'm not gonna go into that. Like overall, I think what Baysal said, the resources nowadays make it easier. And what's the funniest thing? Now you can put in a prompt, create me a website app.
Yeah.
And you will get everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was spending times like, what kind of a feature is this? Like, client tells me I need this feature called like, I don't know, timetable for the, and I'm like, what's that? Because you cannot find it anywhere. And you're like, like, who do you ask? We couldn't ask Google, we cannot ask Claude, we cannot ask GPT. Then you go around the people and the PMs. Hey, do you know what this is? Maybe did you work? Then they're like, yeah, I'm not sure what that is. So we're both like,
now you can ask with one sentence and you get the answer.
Yeah, you just go Google, you ask Gemini, and he's like, or you ask him like, you know, hey, I have a sickness. Am I going to die tomorrow? And he says like, yeah, probably. So something like that. But yeah, I think that is very handy now. And we have another one, a very much informative session. And yeah, I mean, thank you. I hope you guys loved it. I wish we had even more of these earlier. But you know, this is after all our first internship, and everything is still being a bit new. We're testing things out. We wish we bring even more people like Baysal, even more. And I can already tell he's going to be on the next internship as well, in more sessions, like not just like in this last one. But like, you know,
no one asked me, but it looks like I will be coming. So
no,
okay. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna let the interns decide for him, should he be on the next session. I mean, I think the answer is like, and we have another question before we close it out. We have a few minutes left. So if you were reviewing a junior designer's portfolio today, what are the first 3 things you look for, and what will make you think designer is ready to work on your product? For me, organization would be number 1 thing, because if you can show me that I can understand what you did, even though maybe you did not build like perfect app, but if I can understand what you did in the first 2 minutes when I open up a capstone, I would say you are ready, because you know how to present things.
Definitely.
And like, it's not a problem of you will learn how to build UIs.
Plus attention to detail, because it does not come always to you naturally, but you learn the importance of details after the years of time. So if a junior gives me a portfolio, and when I check that really it is detailed focus, that would get a lot of plus from me. Like, I would really think like, okay, like they are thinking ahead.
Yeah. And also one thing that I noticed when you guys submit the assignments, I notice when somebody puts in effort, because I see things that you cannot find on others. Like, everybody's like, you know, of course, that's a part of the procedure. You go with research flows, wireframes, artifacts, AI. But here's the thing. Some of you guys actually put in a link to a real article. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, you actually picked this up from a real existing article. You verified it. And to me, that shows that you actually are like reading what you're writing, and I can already count that you will be able to, like, I don't know, I give you, okay, make this for this product, and I know where you will be looking at.
You see that people is not lazy also.
Yes.
The person really put the effort.
Absolutely. Just by seeing, like, you know, AI is nice to have, and we recommend AIs, but I really love when people, even you don't need to know perfect UIs. I didn't know how to build perfect UIs, but I love to see the effort. Mm-hmm. When you build 20 components on your own, the next 20 ones will be even better. But they are your own. You understand why they don't work, like the prototyping and stuff. Like, I also learned how to prototype by that. I was just doing that. So I would say the junior is ready to take on a project needs to be hardworking. I need to see a lot of effort in the Figma. I really need that. Like, it's not just like, okay, this is what AI built and that's it. Like, everybody can do that. No.
And another thing I want to mention is that people actually want to see if you're solving any problem. So as long as you show that you solve the problem, if we are talking about a UX UI design portfolio, if you can show how did you solve the problem, why did you solve it, and how it looks after you solve it, and if you can show a couple metrics like what happened after you solved it, then you're gonna have a really good feedback on your portfolio.
Hey, you're hired then.
Yeah, you're hired.
Yeah, you're hired. And I'm not gonna like. I'm just gonna give you my project like on the side. Here, take some of my load. Yeah. You can do it. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I think it was a very good, productive session. And like, don't forget to submit your capstones for review. Each one will be reviewed. When we review them, you can check out the certifications and claim that on your own. You need 5 assignments and a capstone to like be qualified for the certification. So I know it's self-paced. It's not a hurry. It's not a rush. But take your time and do your best on the capstone. Prove to me why you deserve the certification, because I know we have a lot of work, we have a lot of assignments, but still, this is the part where we can actually see if you are willing to make it. It's not about the UI, it does not need to be the prettiest. I want to see the effort, and I think that's what values the most. So, Baysal, thank you.
Thank you too.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna let him sign up for us because.
Thank you for like listening, and I hope it was helpful for many of you out there. And hopefully to join to more sessions, like to help you more, guys. If you have any questions, you can just reach out, and I really respect your time and value that, and thank you once again for joining.
Yeah, guys, have a great rest of the day, and we'll be in touch over the portal, so stay tuned. So let's find out who comes to Bosnia for the Bosnia challenge. So guys, take care and see you all. Bye bye.
Bye bye.